News Talk 94.5, WPTI, 96.7 FM, WTOB. You're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. This morning in the studio, you have Garrett Ray and Brice Payne. And today, we are going through the mailbag, answering listener questions that you guys have submitted to us.
It's that time of month.
Good morning, Brice. How are you?
I'm doing well, Garrett. How are you?
I am well. I am slowly adjusting to the falling back for daylight savings time.
Very slowly.
Yeah, it's always gets a little bit gloomier for some reason this time of year. I always struggle with this one more than the opposite one. So even though I gained the hour of sleep, it definitely impacts me more.
Definitely throws you off a little bit. That's true. That's true. Well, let's go ahead and do two things here, Garrett, that we always start off our show with. Mm-hmm. Thank you for joining us out there this morning on this weekend morning. Like, we can officially say happy holidays now, I think, right? It's in November. So.
You may as well. Yeah.
Okay, so happy holidays to everybody out there. I always view it as once we're past Halloween, it's happy holidays.
Yeah, it's the holiday season.
Right.
Yep.
All right. So happy holidays to y'all out there. Let's go ahead, Garrett, lead us off on our Wealth Guardian Service Salute, if you would.
Absolutely. We want to take just a moment out of each and every show to recognize those men and women that are in uniform, serving our military forces and our first responders right here in our community. We know that without your efforts, we certainly would be in a much more dangerous place. So thank you for your efforts, and thank you to the family members who support those men and women in uniform and those first responders.
Very well said. I would second that over here on my end as well. All right, Garrett. Now, the second thing that we want to do before we get started here on dipping this listener mailbag is better get to know your Wealth Guardian's financial advisor. And you came up with the question for us to ask each other today.
Yeah, Brice, I'll lead it off. I actually don't know this about you, so this will be good when we'll be doing this live. I wanted to know from you, what was your favorite course that you took, or perhaps a favorite professor you had at college while you were at University of Colorado?
Well, my favorite course that I took was one that I had set up during an interim period to go down to Mexico and work on the Jimmy Carter project down there in Mexico. So I had the distinct honor for about a week working in the same little Campo region that he was working in, not necessarily in the same house, but in the same little development area, and that was as cool as can be.
Sure.
So it's very much an honor to done that and learn some humanities things as well. That was a humanities credit, but that was the one that really sticks out for me.
Okay.
If I can consider Jimmy Carter a professor at that stage, then so be it. Taught me how to hammer a hammer.
President Carter, there you go, and Professor Carter apparently.
That's right.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yours was more kind of like a travel/study abroad.
Yeah.
Mine was more traditional. It's as the listeners may know, I'm an engineer by degree, a civil engineer from the Citadel, and my favorite course I took was in statics. So as you can imagine, if you're a civil engineer and you build a bridge or a dam or a skyscraper, that is not supposed to move. Actually, that's a lie. They do move a little bit for expansion joints and that sort of thing, but statics is basically studying how structures, the forces that exert on structures when they are in their final state, be that land-based, if that's reinforced concrete, if you got steel design in there. So it's understanding the vector dynamics on structures.
Vector dynamics
in their static space. So I love that.
Yeah, I also did that. Excellent. All right. Well, we'll ask that same question you out there. What was your favorite course in college or high school, wherever it was? What was that professor that made a mark on you? All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump to this. And, every month for about 4 weeks here, our listener mailbag starts to get filled up, and we want to take a break from our regular content and just look through these questions and see who should we respond to here on the radio as opposed to just responding in an email. And we'll go with Judy in Summerfield.
Okay.
And she says, Doug, Brice, and Garrett, I got married last month. Congratulations. And wishes on that. Yeah. We're both in our late 60s, and we both lost our previous spouses to cancer within the last 5 years.
Jeez.
And we both have 3 kids. So we bring our own assets to the marriage, although he has more than me. How do we make sure that his kids inherit the wealth that he's built over the years while also making sure that I'm okay financially if I outlive him? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I guess I'll take the lead on this one. Judy, you and your husband certainly have some estate planning discussions that you likely need to get a little bit more specific in. That being said, in a majority of accounts, investment accounts, whether that's an IRA, a Roth, even a non-qualified or like a brokerage account, you do have the ability to list out your beneficiaries in a rather simple manner in those. There's typically a primary beneficiary, and then there's a contingent beneficiary. Now, contingent beneficiaries are if you have the tragic car accident where both you and your husband were to pass away simultaneously or very rapid succession. That would then go to the contingent beneficiaries, which would, in theory, be the children at whatever percentage split you guys agreed to. Now, normally in a married situation, the primary beneficiary is the spouse, and that makes sense. That being said, if there is a more specific or complicated need, now that we're kind of blending two families, so to speak, and you want to keep the inheritance of the children in around the percentages of approximate wealth that each spouse brought into the marriage, that may require some additional estate planning and some additional documentation in your will and something like that.
Yeah, I'll agree. And so here's the main word that I see in your question here, Judy. How do we make sure that his kids inherit the wealth that he's built over the years while, meaning at the same time, also making sure that I'm okay financially if I'm living? So what I think we're trying to do here is whatever he leaves, he wants to make sure that you're taken care of. But if you pass away at a certain point, whatever was his that was help supporting you, but is still left over after you pass away, Judy, how does that go to the kids? And this can really be that the trust would be the beneficiary of his assets, where there are specifications that you are getting paid a monthly amount, if you will, to make sure that you've got food in the fridge, et cetera, et cetera. And then whatever remains in that trust after you pass away, since you never technically inherited it, the trust inherited it. Now, once you have passed away as one of the beneficiaries, the rest of the assets can be split up among his children. So that's one way to do it. There might be better ways to do it, but that is a common way that I have seen it done for second marriages for exact same situation that you specified there, Judy. So it is a good question, and it is, while we are happy to talk to you more about your options, it's really going to be an estate planning attorney that's going to help you fine tune what exactly that is. But great question. It's relevant to a lot of people out there.
Absolutely.
If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray. In the studio this morning is Garrett Ray and Brice Payne, and we're dipping into that listener mailbag as we want to do once a month here. And that first question was from Judy. Let's move on now, Garrett, to the second question. And this one comes from Steve in Germantown.
Okay.
Steve says, I'm 58 and was just informed by my company that I'll be laid off in 60 days. I'm sorry to hear that. I'll be able to stay on the company health insurance plan for 1 year and will be given a 6-month severance package. Okay. I have the option of taking my pension as a monthly income or a lump sum. How do I decide on the pension question? And what else do I need to think about as I plan my steps moving forward? Well, great question, Steve. And one that we commonly need to help somebody kind of peel away the onion layers on those pensions and figure out what is the best option for them. Garrett, what do you want to throw to Steve here?
Yeah, I guess I would answer it kind of more generally first, and then maybe throw out a few specifics that you may comment on, Brice. But, if we're talking about the decision, at least on the pension, do I take it lump sum? Do I opt into the monthly income amount? The key word in the question to me was you're getting laid off by your company. So likely this is a private pension, which does not have, in most cases, almost all cases, if you elect that monthly income option, it does not have a cost of living adjustment to help you with inflation as the years go by.
Good point.
Our state employees and our federal employees do enjoy a cost of living adjustment on their pensions, so that decision tree can make a little bit more sense. I'll use round numbers here. Let's say you're getting $1,000 a month in your pension, and while in the first 3, 4, maybe 5 years, that might be kind of nice, 5 to 10 years down the road, as you're deeper into your retirement, that $1,000 may not be going as far as it once did.
Because it doesn't increase.
It doesn't increase at all. It's just $1,000 a month for the rest of your life, which is nice. But, you may have need, as inflation continues to have its effect, more purchasing power. You may have need for more purchasing power later in retirement. If that is the case, then we typically would want to look at taking the lump sum option. That way you have that lump sum and that infusion of cash to essentially invest and grow and keep up with inflation, hopefully get a rate of return above real inflation, which then you can take a distribution from to act like your trigger for income in the future. The one positive I also remind folks too about taking that lump sum option and investing it is then you are the captain of the ship. You get to decide when to throttle up that distribution if you need more income, or throttle it down if you don't need as much income in subsequent years. So you have more decision of choice there.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Steve, when you do turn on the income there's a mathematical formula that Garrett and I or any advisor should be able to help you out and figure if you're getting a reasonable amount of monthly income for the lump sum value. But again, as Garrett said, you want to keep in mind that that's never growing. That monthly amount is never growing. So the percentage that you're getting based off of the lump sum will not be as impressive as it was in the initial years. But here's something else that I noticed, Garrett, that he said in here that I just now am picking up on. He's 58 and was just informed by his company that he'll be laid off in 60 days. So Garrett, Steve, I don't know when your birthday is, but a lot of people are aware or think that if you have retirement assets out there, which this pension would be, if you took the lump sum amount, it would essentially be an IRA at that point. You're not supposed to touch those if you are under 59 and a half. Now, I don't know what your financial situation is, if you will need to start taking distributions now that you'll be laid off. You're going to have a 6-month severance pay, so hopefully not. But if you're not aware of it, there's something called the Rule 55 out there. And that means that any amounts that you have in your 401k, if you retired or left your company after 55, but before the 59 and a half rule that we're all familiar with, you can take distributions from your 401k as if you were already 59. So it's correct. But you can't go back to work and do that. So it's only if you are not working, because some people are either forced into retirement a little bit early or what have you. So that's a good point there, Steve. And so we would love to help you figure out what your pension options are there and what makes the most sense for you. And I'll tell you this, Steve, as well. When you file for lifetime income for your pension, you basically annuitized your pension. And that is annuity. I know we all kind of have concerns about that word, but Social Security is actually an annuity.
It is.
And it simply means guaranteed income that you can't outlive. So guaranteed income for the rest of your life. And Steve, if you're going to be retiring early here, you might want to make sure that you understand the rules and regulations around Social Security filing, because that might be something that is pertinent to you now that you might be forced into retirement earlier than you wanted to. And Garrett, we've got a Social Security seminar coming up here.
We do. It's the second one. We've had our first one with great success, but if you want to catch us, that last one is Tuesday, November 12th at 6:30 p.m. in the Broyhill Annex. The topic is Social Security in Retirement. Obviously, to attend is free, but you do have to register. You can call us at 336-391-3409 or visit our website, thewealthguardians.com, and click on the events tab, and you can see it there and register.
And this one is done by Hamilton Morales, who is basically knows all things about Social Security. And if you are getting close to approaching retirement or filing for Social Security, you really do want to make sure you understand what your options are, because once you file after a year, there's no undoing that. Want to make sure that you're doing the right filing strategies there. All right, Garrett, well, we got to go ahead and get to a break here. I guess you've done the trivia question for me for a change this time.
I have, Brice. And so do you have your little buzzer ready? Because I think
we're going to do that on the other side.
You're going to be stumped.
But I will have the buzzer ready on the other side of the break.
So the trivia question is this. I like to study kind of our country's history, and this is about kind of the old explorers. And so the old explorer Juan Ponce de Leon, you may have heard the name. He discovered a land covered in flowers, and he named it either A, Tobago, B, Florida, C, Yucatan, or D, La Fleur. Ponce de Leon, Brice.
All right, I'll take a guess at that one. All right. Well, we have to take a break here, as we always do, so stick around for the answer to that trivia question and see if we stumped me. This is Brice Payne with Garrett Ray. The show's The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And this is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. And this is 96.7 FM WTOB. News Talk 94.5 WPTI. 96.7 FM WTOB. Welcome back to the Wealth Guardian Show, where we help you retire the job and keep the paycheck. I'm Brice Payne in the Wealth Guardian studio, along with Garrett Ray this morning. And in this second segment, we're going to continue dipping into that listener mailbag that we try to do once a month. Now, Garrett asked me a trivia question on the other side, the early side of this break. But I've got two questions for you before I see if I can answer that. Let me ask you this. Are you planning to retire? Okay. And have you yet met with a retirement income certified professional who is also a fiduciary? If not, I'm going to invite you right now to take us up on a complimentary review of your current situation. So a certified retirement planning specialist will put together a customized written plan with a strategy for portfolio allocation, income distribution, Social Security filing, and tax efficiency, with the additional benefit of often reducing both the risk and the fees of your current plan. So if you put aside at least $400,000 and want to take us up on this no-cost, no-obligation review, call us at 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. Or go to thewealthguardians.com. That's thewealthguardians.com to learn more. Let us show you in black and white how to retire the job and keep the paycheck. All right, let's go ahead and get to this trivia question that you threw at me here, Garrett.
All right, Brice. So just as a refresher, the theme of the trivia question is going back to those old explorers back in the 14th and 15th century. We're currently talking about Juan Ponce de Leon, very famous explorer. And the question is, Ponce de Leon discovered a land covered in flowers, and he named it either A, Tobago, B, Florida, C, Yucatan, or D, Les Fleurs.
Well, wasn't Ponce de Leon the one who discovered the Fountain of Youth?
That was definitely part of his main mission.
Okay,
yes.
Well, so that I'm gonna go out here. I don't think it was Tobago. I think it's Florida.
It is Florida.
Oh, hey, looky there. I get to...
Yeah, so absolutely. Very good. So here's the background on it.
But the Spanish paid off for me.
That's right. Juan Ponce de Leon discovered a land covered in flowers, and he named it Florida. This is because Ponce de Leon landed in present-day Florida, of course, in 1513, around St. Augustine, by the way. That was the site of his landing. During his search for the Fountain of Youth, the name Florida is believed to have been given by Ponce de Leon in reference to the Spanish word florido, meaning flowery, or full of flowers. So there you go. There you have it.
Very good. Hey, chalk one up for me.
I guess it was a beautiful day when he discovered it.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's go ahead and get on to these more not trivia questions, the listener questions to us.
Yep.
So Lisa writes us from High Point, and she says, my husband wants to work for another decade, but he's already 64, and that sounds insane to me. So I think we have enough money for him to retire sooner, but he just wants to keep working away. Is there any point in debating this, or should I just let him work forever? For the record, I prefer for us to be able to travel a lot. All right, Lisa, well, thank you for that question. And Garrett, when we sit down with a couple and they want to go through the planning process with us and make sure that they've got everything lined up as it should be for retirement, one of the first questions, I know that you do this as well, but one of the first questions that I ask is, when do you plan on retiring? And I word it exactly like that for a reason. When do you plan on retiring? So maybe they're 63 and they say, oh, I'm planning on retiring when I'm 67. Okay. Then I come back to that and I say, when would you like to retire?
Mm-hmm.
Because so often somebody has that planned retirement date in their head. It is not because they want to keep working that long. It's because they figure they might have to keep working that long. And I want to cut through that. I want to say, okay, when do you plan on retiring? Meaning, when do you think it's in the cards for you to? Now, if money wasn't a subject, if it wasn't an object, or you could just retire tomorrow or retire next year, when would you choose to retire? Yep. That oftentimes is a different answer. And I want to keep both of those answers in mind. So the reason I'm saying that, Lisa, is, does your husband enjoy what he does?
Yep.
Does it truly work for him, or is it something that keeps him alive and healthy and his mind going? Is it something that he doesn't hate doing or dread doing? He actually enjoys it. Because if that is the case, Lisa, then I don't know that we need to really debate him on that. Now, if you're miserable with him working, then that's a conversation to be had, and maybe there would be some compromise there. But if it doesn't matter to you and he likes doing it, then, let him do it. Though I know you say that you want to do some traveling, and that might not be your first choice. Gosh, maybe there's some kind of happy medium between there where he's still working, but he's taking more time off now to do those vacations. Instead of working 40 hours a week, maybe he's working 25 or 30 hours a week, or working 4 weeks on and 1 week off. There are a lot of employers that will accommodate their experienced employees to kind of be flexible on what their retirement looks like.
Yep, I totally agree. Lisa, we need to understand from your husband is his insistence on continuing to go to work coming from a position of fear, or is it he truly is passionate about his career and he's just not ready to give that up yet? We could definitely land on some multiple different answers. And Brice is totally correct. We see more and more people kind of, I'll use the phrase soft retiring. They'll move from a full-time position into part-time with more travel, because oftentimes they do have a fully retired spouse at home, and it kind of meets both buckets. The spouse is happier because there's more time with the other spouse traveling and doing fun things, but it kind of keeps those creative juices going of what the career satisfaction gives. So very good.
Yep, absolutely. And so, Lisa, sit down with both of you, sit down with a holistic financial planner that can put all these numbers together and help you understand whether or not he does need to retire now. Maybe if he sees it in black and white and some real numbers, maybe that will help edge him. It's like, okay, this really is, retirement isn't just a dream. It really is something that is doable if we want to. And maybe that'll edge him toward your way of thinking a little bit, seeing what the projections actually look like. Because there's so many people out there, Lisa, who really are convinced that they have to work for 5 more years. And the numbers actually bear us out that you could retire tomorrow. Not miracle workers, but, we can at least present to you what the numbers actually say. Right. Thanks for the question, Lisa. And if you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Wealth Guardian Show with Doug Ray. In the studio this morning is Brice Payne and Garrett Ray. And we're taking listener mailbag questions, as we try to do once a month here. And we're going on to our 4th question now. This is from Ray in Burlington. And Ray says, Wealth Guardians, we're about to retire and move to our favorite home next year, our forever home.
Yeah, forever home.
I'd like to keep the current home and use it as a rental property for income. All right. The problem is that I'd have 2 mortgages for a while. What do you think?
Well, I don't necessarily hate the idea, Ray. It depends on kind of how you had envisioned the rental property going. We'd have to understand, of course, without knowing the specifics of the 2 loans, how much is left to be paid off, that sort of thing. If you did turn the home you're in now into a rental property once you move into the forever home, we'd want to go over the cash flow analysis on that. How quickly are we paying off the rental home so it becomes a true asset that you fully own? If that payoff date is 7-10 years down the road, I don't like it as much at that point. But if you're saying, hey, we can pay this thing off with the cash flow from the rents in 1, 3, 4 years, something like that, I like it a little better. In my mind, the worst case scenario that happens is if you try to find a tenant and you do, like, let's say, a year-long lease with that tenant, and you're a little bit cash strapped and it's just not working. After that tenant has completed their 1-year contract, then you put the previous home up for sale. You get the proceeds from the sale, and you at least eliminate one of the mortgages and hopefully take a nice bite out of the mortgage that you just recently acquired with the new home or the forever home, as you described it. That would be kind of just looking at this first pass of this question, how I might answer that.
Yeah. And I'll throw in here too, as well, Ray. I don't know if you've been a landlord in the past, that this is something new for you. Be aware that it's a little different than other investments. This is not necessarily a hands-off type of investment.
Yeah.
Mutual funds might be. And based on what the property value is, there should be a certain amount of income that you're seeing or netting for yourself. So you can compare that to what you should be getting if you just took the lump sum and sold the house, take the proceeds and invested in, the market. What kind of returns would you be expecting to see on that, reasonably speaking? And that is more or less a hands-off investment. So it's not that there's a right way or a wrong way to do it, but you just want to make sure that you're calculating all the numbers that you need to. And that's, again, what we could help you do here at the Wealth Guardians. We can help you go over all those numbers and make sure that you understand what the pros are and what the trade-offs are of having income generated from property that you own.
Absolutely.
Right. Well, that is going to wrap it up this week, but I do want to bring our attention one more time to our Social Security and Retirement Seminar. We had one this last Thursday, went very well, and we've got another one going on this Tuesday, November 12th at 6:30 p.m. We do the seminar generally about twice a year, and this time we've got the world-renowned Hamilton Morales giving us this talk on Social Security. So if you've not filed for Social Security and you understand that you're going to at some point, and you want to understand the different ways to file and all the things to consider on taxes and Social Security, et cetera, really encourage you to sign up for this seminar. There's no cost or obligation to attend, but you do have to register. So how do you do that? You give us a call, 336-391-3409. That's 336-391-3409. Or you can visit us at thewealthguardians.com and go to our events tab just as well. Garrett, anything else to add?
I would just add there to the listeners that Hamilton is incredible when it comes to Social Security. I have never seen him be stumped by a question.
No.
He has an answer for everything. I literally have never seen him stumped. So if you've got a difficult Social Security question, come to our seminar, ask Hamilton. He'll get you an answer.
There we go. All right. Well, thanks for joining us. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have this week. We hope the rest of your weekend is everything you want it to be. This is Brice Payne, along with Garrett Ray. The show is The Wealth Guardians, helping you retire the job and keep the paycheck. And I want to remind you, sound financial plans do not create themselves. This is News Talk 94.5 WPTI. This is 96.7 FM WTOB.